Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Bearded Biomed. Kept you waiting long enough, and we're here for a special episode to cap off 2025. Some dear friends of the show, I serve, Javier and Rene are joining me here today at the Lowe's Arlington Hotel, right across from Go Life Field, home of the Texas Rangers. And we have a lot to celebrate, a lot to talk about.
Oh, hi everyone. My name is Javier Valdez. I am a co-founder of Biomedical and COO of the company. We've been in business since 2016, so almost the 10-year mark. Hoorah! Been a biomed myself since 2013, so 12 plus years, and we love the biomed society. We like to support in any way that we can, and it reflects not only on ourselves but on the rest of the team at Biomedical.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rene Torres. I'm one of the owners here at Biomedical. And I've been in the field since 2006, going on 20 years next year.
Still a young man.
Still young. Like Javier mentioned, we are Biomedical is going on 10 years next year. So it's a big milestone, a big accomplishment, and something we're proud of. We're excited about, and we have some surprises coming up in the year. We are moving to a new and bigger location to better support our customers. So yeah. Part of our services that we do is some of the things that we're known for is for third-party biomedical services, which are biomed support services, temporary staffing, special projects, infusion pump projects. So that's kind of like our bread and butter for IsoBio.
There's a lot to take in with what you guys said. First off, I don't think you guys give yourself enough credit. 10 years is an incredible accomplishment.
Yes.
What month are you hitting 10 years?
In June.
It's right around the corner. So for any biomed owned business, that's put in the work, the blood, sweat, tears, hours that nobody knows is involved with that. That's an incredible accomplishment. And the team that you guys have built out throughout Texas and all the other project work you guys do, that's also reflective that you're expanding to a new location as well, right? So, hold your head high. Like you did some great thing. The reason I invited you guys on is I think we aligned a lot with what's important to me and a lot of the other leaders out there in the field. And that's when it's about taking the next step for those under us, right? Putting in everything we can to give those that are working under us the tools, the experience, the leadership to set them apart and hopefully lead them towards better opportunities than what we had when we first got into. Right. I look back at 15 years in, there's certain things that I wish I had known when I had first gotten in, but we have it in us today to impart a lot of that knowledge and a lot of the soft skills, obviously the technical aspect of our job,
Right.
There's so much that you can pour into a technician, that things that you've picked up over the years, that why leave it on them to figure out when you can impart that knowledge. So you guys are huge proponents of that, of pouring into your teams, pouring into the next generation, which we'll get into as well. I mean, I've learned some things to just talk with y'all over the past few weeks that I didn't know you guys did, that I want to give you your flowers on. If one thing that I want to be known for with the show is that I give props and elevate and celebrate biomed technician. So first off, one of the things that I learned about is you guys actually do an intern and apprenticeship program. Would you mind just going into a little bit of how that works and how y'all set that up?
Sure. Yeah, we work with a lot of technical colleges here in Texas. Just to name a few: Texas State Technical College, San Jacinto College, Houston Community College. They all have biomed programs that they have technicians that are just looking for an internship, or we bring them in as an apprentice to show them the ropes of the biomed field. Even outside of the technical colleges, we'll advertise the biomed program as much as we can, and we'll bring in the students or future biomeds interested in the field that will show them on the job training. We'll bring them as apprentice positions, and even help them with some education with, like, for example, what's the name of the CB College. CB College is another example that another college that we work with to get students educated into the field. So that's kind of how we work with the apprentice.
Since we first started Biomedical and we were both technicians, I know probably over 10 plus years ago, and still not a very known field, right? But back in the day, there was no pay internships, right? You will have to try to figure it out as you go. as a student trying to get an internship, try to balance expenses. And me and Rene have always thought that, hey, if we can give out or give back to the community, why not? Let's create a program where we both benefit, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to benefit on the aspect of maybe getting a new technician or shape a good technician the way the company needs them to be, and also helping out with the financial portion, right? We offer paid internships and paid apprenticeships, and the program that we have, it works both ways, right? We want to make sure that it benefits them and benefits us as well. They get to go out on the field, which is very important because a lot of the technicians, whenever you're at school, you don't know how to probably talk to a nurse whenever you're going to a patient room, right?
One of those critical soft skills.
Yes.
Right.
So we embrace that to the new technicians. We want to show you how to properly talk to the nurse, how to show up to the nurse station and introduce yourself, explain them what you're there for. Be courteous with the patients, right? Being a patient is not fun. So you gotta be pretty much in and out of the room and still do a great job, right? So that's something that why we started the Biomed internship and apprenticeship program, because we want them to succeed. We were once there, and we wish someone will guide us or had an opportunity like that.
Yeah, and it's giving a lot of these young kids opportunities that they otherwise wouldn't have had.
It's a great career.
I get messages not every day, but dang near it feels that way sometimes of, wow, I learned about this field. Tell me more. I can't find a job, or, this place doesn't do apprenticeship or anywhere in my area. Our field, we constantly speak about, we can't fill slots. Everybody's retiring. And it's always been that go-to thing to talk about at conferences or shows or everything. 'Cause it's something that everybody recognizes, and we have made strides. The field, we have apprenticeship programs put in place. We've, launched new certifications. We've, really gotten out there, I think, between myself and many others as well, of going to speak at schools and kind of start building out that infrastructure of letting people know who we are. But this has only been over the past 4 or 5 years, really. We've had a couple people in the past that started a little bit before us. But now I'm starting to see a little bit of traction. We're telling people about this field. Now we gotta carry them the rest of the way. I think it's the responsibility of those in our seats right now, the ones that are obviously running a company, but even the ones that are managing in-house teams, field teams, being a senior lead tech for an OEM. It's your responsibility now to impart everything you can to make this person hopefully go higher than you. One of the leaders I had in the Army, he told me that a reflection of how you were as a leader is how well did the people under you do after you. So if you are really putting in everything you got, I mean, our field is always going to continuously get better. And
Right.
I look at all the generations prior to us, we're in that spot now. So I love hearing that there's new apprenticeship programs, internship opportunities out there, because it's more places that I can point people towards for opportunities. I'm going to go ahead and rub this in there too, is, that was the big preface of why I started Ohm's Law Foundation. It was, we're telling them about this field, but then it's like, all right, figure the rest out.
Right.
There has to be some level of financial commitment that the field needs to make to these people. So right now, we're not even a full year in, but with the help of our foundation partners, which includes you guys, that is going to change. So I'm excited for what 2026 is going to do. One, it's going to put it out there. Hey, we told you about this field. Now we got you, getting you into it. I think I know just based on what we've been able to accumulate thus far, very much with the help that you guys provided as well. We're issuing 40 scholarships next year. That's 40 more people that say, hey, we want you here. And this is only the beginning. There's more scholarships coming. There's more support coming. We can really make the change and get rid of this issue that we constantly have been hearing about our entire careers. So for me and everybody on my board, I just want to say thank you for your support. I'm sure all the people that you've hired over the years and the people that are going to benefit from your donation to the scholarship endeavor, it's going to go a long way.
We're looking forward to that. And like you're mentioning, like funny story, the Biomed field is not very well known. Like I found the Biomed field by accident, pretty much. And
that's always our story. Every person you talk to, except maybe a couple, it's all, well, I found this out by accident.
yep,
Everyone. This shouldn't be that way. We're a trade skill.
right.
We're just as invaluable in the hospital because we are critical to it, keeping everything up and running so that nurses and doctors can treat patients with the equipment they need to use to do it.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of things to look forward to. Instead of just getting into the typical things I like to talk about on this podcast, with it being around the holidays and the nature of giving, the nature of people pouring into one another and caring about another. I think it's a perfect reflective period to understand why we do what we do. And I think your name of your company speaks to that in volumes. I serve, which I'm assuming
That's
is
exactly
the preface
why.
of it.
That's exactly why we chose that name.
Biomeds are servants to the patient healthcare infrastructure. There's so much that goes on behind the scenes that maybe you guys that are taking apart equipment, fixing it, or doing PMs on the day to day, sometimes we lose sight of that. You walk into any children's hospital, honestly, any ICU, and you see somebody hooked up to 6, 7, 8, 9 pumps,
Ventilators,
like you name it.
yeah.
Like that's why it's so important what we do, even if it's not for something as critical as that. If it's, making sure that a defibrillator is going to work when it needs to, making sure that, any diagnostic tool that they have available for them is going to work when it needs to work. Most of the time when we're testing it, everything's great.
Yeah.
But God forbid you're hooked up to it, a family member's hooked up to it, a friend's hooked up to it,
Right.
and it doesn't work. So I think it's perfect with that mindset and what your company stands for.
Something that something that we always try to transmit to every single employee of ICER Biomedical is whenever they're working on a piece of equipment, to think as if that piece of equipment is going to be used for a loved one, right? Why? Because or yourself, like you mentioned, it's you got to make sure that you're following the service manual as a technician, right? Because there's no shortcuts. Why? Because just because you do a shortcut will impact the way a piece of equipment can perform, right? Like you mentioned on defibrillators, you got to make sure that whenever there is an emergency, they're going to work. And that's something that we push a lot internally as a company, not only to our technicians, from our receptionist all the way to the warehouse. So they realize, hey, this is something very important that we do. This is something that we take pride of whenever we're working on a piece of equipment, because you never know when you're going to need it.
That's something that we want to impart in the folks that we're trying to bring up, is to take pride in the work, because usually those that take pride and want to stand on integrity with every PM they do, every repair they do, they know that they did what they're supposed to do. And God forbid something happens, it's going to be okay. That's the critical juncture of those that want to get into this field, is you have to, obviously, it's not always as critical as that. Most days are a little bit more not as an emergency, but
Right.
as they say in the Army, when the shit hits the fan, you want to have your
Right.
ducks in a row. You want things to work how they're supposed to.
And
It's an amazing, it's amazing that we have that ability to impart that.
and not only specifically on the piece of equipment, there is also other things like paperwork, right? That's something that sometimes, like you have to really pay attention on your paperwork, on the test equipment that you use to test that piece of equipment, right? You got to make sure that test piece of equipment is up to date, the calibration, it's up to date, right?
Well, what do they say? They say 80% of it is documenting what you did, 20% the rest of it.
Right.
And, obviously the documenting part is a great CYA. It covers your ass. Right. But let's say a piece of equipment goes down months later. Those notes help your fellow technician out of what was done, so you're not putting in the same parts that already got replaced, or it helps finite troubleshoot something else down the line. It's not just about covering your own, it's about
using that to your
exactly. It's a trickle down effect.
Right.
Even I think this speaks more so outside of, the fully staffed in-house biomed teams, because they know what's theirs, and, whether they leave or not, those people, like, you have those records. But from especially us in the third party scene, the field service teams, ideally, I would hope that your clients stick with you forever, right? But there's always circumstances that, they go a different direction. Either, new leadership wants to go with somebody they know better, maybe cheaper pricing, whatever the thing is. You have to treat them like you're going to take care of them forever.
Right.
You have to do right by every one of these facilities, no matter if that's the approach that you, as a technician, as a manager, as anybody taking care of any device in this field, has to look at it from. You're taking care of it as if it's going to be used on anybody you know or anybody you may not know. It doesn't matter. This isn't a field that I think we could, I don't want to say boast, but we have such again, a trickle down effect of, if we don't do our job correctly, that can have really bad repercussions to it, right?
I agree. No, this is one of if not the greatest field out there, especially to trade skills. And sorry, I lost my train of thought. It's one of the most important trades right now, and integrity plays a big role in it. And it's a perfect career, perfect field for someone that wants to make a difference, wants to have an impact in what they do, and they just have to care about what they're doing and have a good integrity and do the right thing every time.
I agree. I mean, there is a lot of companies out there, customers, right, that they have asked, hey, why we should go with you guys, right? Or what's the difference? A lot of the time that our response is, we care. We want to make the difference, right?
Right.
We want to do the right thing, and we're all humans, like,
Yeah.
we're gonna make mistakes. It's
about how you correct them and
yeah,
what you do.
it's how you act. Exactly.
A lot of it, when I go to, I'm sitting down and having like a quote or a contract discussion with a potential new client. I know it may sound funny for those that y'all are in the field, but for us that we're in the business aspect of it, hospitals are considered clients, but neither here nor there. There's something you said to me at the North Texas Gala that myself and many of other people that I consider friends, we look at the field as there's so much out there in just client wise and what we can do conjointly, that the predatory nature of companies like biomed companies pitting against one another, or like trying to undercut one another, it's completely unnecessary.
Right.
But there is still that today. When someone's, that question you specifically ask every time you sit down with somebody when you're trying to earn their business, you're like, why do I want to go with you? And then you give them an answer that is everything except talking badly about the other company they're currently with. They're like, oh, wow, I'm actually impressed. You don't need to go to a negative
Nope.
space.
Right.
These are the tools that we have available. These are what we can offer you. I cannot attest to what they're currently doing, but this is what we can do. If this aligns with how it takes care of you, then I hope we can earn your business.
Not only that, like, to be honest, there is too much work for everyone.
There's too much work. We are literally drowning in work. We had this discussion. We had lunch earlier. We're like, we're trying to figure out how we're going to handle all these PMs and all these repairs coming. And this goes for everybody that's watching this. It doesn't matter, no matter what, there will always be work, and it's important work. But you also have to make sure that you're making sure you're tackling the personal stuff, putting time into your teams. Making sure you have some modicum of a work-life balance. A little bit harder for once you get higher up in the chain, obviously. But there's so much more that we can do together as a field than trying to compete against one another. Right. I try to collaborate as much as possible, because you get more out of it. You can do more things with more people, as opposed to alienating yourself. Yeah. We're already a pretty inclusive field as it is, because I see year after year, there's more and more women entering the field. There's more and more minorities entering the field. There's way more opportunities out there than we had when we came in. So if all of that is working to our favor, this is just the next thing we need to do as well. We need to come up with solutions that we can benefit everybody.
Right. Work together.
Exactly. With it being, the holidays, and I always find this as my reflectionary period before I get into running the list of things that I need to accomplish and do the following year. But what are some of the things that you reflect back on from this year, either personal experience, company experience, the things you've seen overall in the field? Like, what are some of the things that stick to your mind that you reflect positively back on?
Just like, I mean, every year we've grown as a company, and every year around this time, you like to think back of like how far you've come, how like compared to where you were the year before, what difference have you made? What are you doing different? And like how much further you've gotten this year's. That's something that always we look at the size of the company. We've been in business for 10 years, and it looks like every year the room gets bigger. There's more employees. There's close to 50 plus employees now. And
What you're saying is you might need to change the name from I serve to we serve.
so yeah, it's something that we always reflect back to, and it's why we do what we do what we do.
Yeah, I mean, it's I guess the perfect example can be like a ladder, right? It's one step at a time, right? But you see the progress whenever we first start. It was just me and Rene, right? And then there is also a lot of involvement as you grow as a company, right? You have to worry about payroll, you have to worry about trainings, you have to worry about keeping up with the rest of the team, right? They're your responsibility now, right? And making sure not only that your customer base is taken care of, but for me will be the recognition of the motor of the company, which is our technicians, seeing how they act, how they're representing us, how they're representing iServe whenever they're in front of the customer. I think for me, that's the biggest impact that I have seen through the years, and jumping from, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, and now 50 plus technicians. It feels good. It gives a good feeling that we're doing things right, and we want to keep going, keep pushing. It was a great year, and we always, like for me, it's uncertain what's coming for 2026. Even though your Q1 it's already fully booked.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's that feeling that it's gonna be a new year, new experiences, new challenges that you just gotta keep pushing.
My problem is I constantly take on too much to where I could probably reflect on a lot of stuff. But again, I point back towards, everything I've done over all the years of those stepping stones, right? When I started, because I just recently hit 4 years for the podcast, right? I look back in 4 years ago when I started, I didn't know it would be what it is today. It was more of, I just wanted to do something about people asking what I do because I got tired of answering it on a one-on-one basis. Now I'm just hitting it on YouTube and TikTok and everything. But now I look at it as this was the initial stepping stone to building out something larger than myself. I would have never thought that I would launch a nonprofit, like ever. You had told me I'd say you're lying. No, why would I ever?
Right.
But here we are. I think a lot of the people, including you guys that have joined in with me and my board of what we're trying to accomplish is partially because of the reputation of things that I've put into effect over the past 4 years doing what I do with the podcast and everything else. Because who's going to hand money to somebody you don't know? It's a little bit harder. So even people that may not know me personally, they see that I am what I'm about. And that serves specifically with you guys too, to your clients and to your technicians and those that count on you on a day-to-day basis. This is just the beginning for what I foresee this field can be. You're going to look back on this at your 20-year mark and your 30-year mark and be like, wow, I built that. That's where I want to be with the foundation, to where like I can walk away and be like, this is a legacy, right?
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, I never chase awards, but chase like the impact that you could possibly make to others.
Right. And in between that, I mean, it's going to be ups and downs. It's not going to be everything good news or
all the stuff people don't see.
right.
The long hours, the where you're maybe not you guys, but on the floor, in the fetal position, like how am I going to get through the next day? Like
it's still up.
we've all had a fetal position moment at some point in our career. Like, man, then I think back, like, this is what it's for.
That's probably some of the, I wouldn't call it a challenge, but we're still very involved on the field. Like we're still going to the hospitals. We still, go to different projects, work on equipment at times, right? So it's hard to, we can say it's hard to let go of the us working a piece of equipment or on us, like.
I mean, it's okay for you to know where your techs are at, right? To understand like what their constraints are and understand like I'm not in the field as much as I used to be, but if I need to, be an escalator source, or if they need some advice on a repair, just extra pair of hands with project, that's the kind of stuff that keeps people around because they see you're not afraid to roll your sleeves up and get dirty too.
Right.
So that's not a bad thing.
It's not.
And we're kind of aligned what you mentioned earlier. We're in the field to make a difference. We want to leave our legacy. I've always known that I wanted to be a part of something big. With ISO Biomedical and Ohm's Law Foundation, that you could tell it's going to be big. We're leaving our legacy behind, like you mentioned. And we're making a difference. So.
It helps that it's so cheap to get into our field too. Never know if able to get it so popular it becomes unaffordable. Just like to become a doctor.
I mean, I think another thing that is helping is that a lot of the old generation biomates are retiring. Like it's the demand for being a biomate, it's there. So
the demand is staggering.
Right. So we need, I mean, I'm thinking that's why they're making it so affordable in a way, right? To make sure that a lot of people sign up for it and make it a career. But I mean, we're going to be in trouble, or we're already in trouble, right? Trying to find new technicians because we have a lot of old biomeds retiring.
Yep. This, and like I said, this is just the beginning of us solving that issue. But I guess to kind of cap it all off, this being the end of the year and everything too, I guess, besides your technicians, which obviously I assume this message goes to them as well, what are some of the things that you would challenge those coming up into the field and kind of put out there that they should go after? Like what should they put on their goal sheet for 2026? And obviously this is different for everybody, but as you trying to better yourself as a technician, better your career, better your opportunities, what are some of the things that sit with you guys as, to make that come into fruition?
One of the things that I always tell new technicians is, be comfortable being uncomfortable. Get yourself out of that comfort zone,
especially in field services.
So that's challenge yourself in wanting to keep growing and learning, absorbing as much knowledge as you can. A big one is making yourself being uncomfortable. I think that takes you a long way. It's important for Biomed, like I mentioned earlier. It's an important position. It's an important part of the Biomed part of the Biomed role, and it's gonna take you a long way. It takes you a lot further when you're able to talk to administration or nursing or patients, and it makes it a lot more rewarding when you're able to do that.
For me, something that I always tell the new guys is, hey, whenever someone is training you, make sure you grab your notebook and start taking notes. The reason why is because, I mean, these new generations, nothing against them, right? They're not used to take notes, or they're not used to, I guess, after someone trains you, just listening. And I mean, you can be a very good listener and have like a great memory, right? But maybe you don't see this piece of equipment that often. And, like 2, 3, 4, 5 months down the road, another piece of equipment, it's broken for the same issue or whatever the case is. And you can relate back to your notes and say, hey, here it is. Or, I mean, we have a lot of, everyone has a phone. Everyone can take notes on their phones, take pictures nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Utilize the technology to learn and to go as you can.
Yeah, we have so many tools available to us nowadays, and a community that is willing to lend you those tools. We got our Discords and our Facebook groups and our LinkedIn, and again, like there's modicums of just resources out there that if you don't know where to find them, just ask and someone can point them to you. I think too, not everybody is in a cheerful aspect currently right now. Like there's somebody out there that's going through a hard time. Maybe the worst thing I hate to hear about it is somebody deciding to leave this field because of whatever reason, the opportunity's not being given to them. They don't like just take a breath and reach out to people and see if you can get some help with I guarantee you there's someone out there that is willing to lend their time to mentor you, to put in the extra time. You know, never be afraid of failure. The greatest teacher is failure, not success. Because if you're just successful the whole time, you're not going to see all the stuff it took to get to that person to be successful as well. So, that's the greatest advice that I got when I was coming up is, not everything's going to go your way all the time, but it makes you more resilient. And honestly, it just makes you more prepared because if the same thing happens again, you've already done it. So, for a lot of you guys coming up into the field, maybe you're year one, maybe you're in school right now. There's so many folks like this that are willing to pour into you, that are willing to make sure that you're successful. Of course, I'm always here as a resource. I tell people all the time, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me on any of the different avenues of the show or email me directly. Just like what I always say too, is if I don't have the answer, I probably know somebody that does, and then I refer you to them. So this is a fantastic field.
Yeah.
I mean,
and like, just to add to that is like, you can just ask. You already have the no, right? So if you ask, that no may turn into a yes, or like, hey, go this route. So like you mentioned, there is, this is a great field, and the answer could be just around the corner. So you don't leave the field. And I mean, it's just don't be afraid to ask. That could be also a good recommendation.
So I figure, what do you say we end the show with singing one of our favorite Christmas carols? No, I'm just kidding. We don't need to make an audience ears bleed. Anyway, guys, stay tuned for 2026. Like I said, this will be my final episode of the year. There's so much amazing stuff that's going to be coming down the pipeline for iServe, for Bearded Biomed, for Ohm's Law Foundation. Thank you to all the foundation partners as well that help make this dream a reality of hitting 2026 hard with some scholarships. I cannot do this without the help of the biomed community. At the end of the day, this does take a little bit of a financial commitment. I can run everything else, but at the same time, I need you folks to help us support and uplift the next generation. So thank you again for y'all supporting, and thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you as well for what you're doing and what you're giving back to the community and what you're doing for the biomed field. It's really going to benefit a lot of people. So we appreciate that.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure, and it's a pleasure joining the great cause that the Ohm's Law Foundation is taking on, right? So we appreciate the invite, and we will continue to support the field as much as we can.
And for those of you that are not subscribed, have not liked the video, I just appreciate it if you would. That's all I ask. Like, subscribe, share. It helps the algorithm, helps me reach more people, support the field as much as I can. At the end of the day, I thank you for everybody that does support. Happy holidays, and may the beard be with you. Take care.